Welcome to Loving God and Loving Life. We're in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, where the theme is Paul and Apollos, servants of Christ. These two ministers, Paul's talking about their ministries. They're both servants of Christ. Paul makes this interesting statement here in the second verse. Paul says this, "I had to feed you with milk, not with solid food, because you weren't ready for anything stronger." Now you have to stop and back up and realize again, this Greek culture which idolized intelligence, this is it's just downright insulting to them to say that Paul says, "I had to feed you with the kind of the baby stuff. I couldn't give you the deep stuff." Again, these are the people who thought they were all about the deep stuff. These are the people who still were studying Plato. They're like, "Oh man, we're the deep people." But let's go on and see what Paul says. He says, you still aren't ready for the deep stuff. He's saying you're still not ready because you're still controlled by your sinful nature. As he goes on and explains what it was that proved to him that they weren't deep, he says this, you're jealous of one another and you quarrel with each other. Now that's interesting. He's saying what proved to him that they really weren't deep was their quarreling, was their inner jealousy and bitterness. And he's really calling out the reality that this quest for knowledge that they had, he's putting his finger on it. He's putting his finger right on the heartbeat of it that, gang, if that's you, and if you're caught up in that, ask yourself a simple question. Am I argumentative? Or maybe a better way is to ask people around you, because maybe we wouldn't think that of ourselves. No. Ask people around you. Am I argumentative? And why I'd say that is if you're exalting your own intelligence, and again, very few, if we're believers, nobody would say they're doing that. We don't think we are, but it's still a very common thing. This isn't just a 2,000-year-old issue. It's still shockingly common today. In fact, it's been proven that the vast majority of people think they're above average intelligence. Well, if you know anything about math, the majority can't be above average. It's not the way averages work. So how can it be that everybody thinks they're above average? Well, it's the human condition. We tend to think we're a little bit sharper. We're a little bit, and this edge, following that brain food alone, leads to places where we become argumentative. It actually sets us against each other. And that's not the grace. Real maturity brings a peace. It means I'm a peacemaker. I'm a peacemaker. I don't need to get my way. I don't need to get my way. I want to further God's kingdom. And I don't need to be right. I don't need to get my way. I need to advance the cause of Christ. Let's allow that to be our heart. We don't need to be known as the most intelligent, the one who's always right. We're the one who always wants Christ and his kingdom to win. We want the relationship to win. We want the group to win. We want the team to win. We want our workplace to win. We don't want ourselves to always come out on top. That's the heart of a Christian. And that's how we share. And if we're that person, then we're sharing the love of Christ with the world around us. Let's pray that prayer. God, send us one person today to share your love with. Friends, this is the lifestyle. And if we're living this lifestyle, loving and serving God, that's the only way we're going to end up with a life that we really love.